love to have fun. And we love to do a lot of things, but we're special. I know that sounds biased, being mayor of Brevard, but I brought some backup. I've got a county commissioner that'll say the same thing as I do about that. We're special and we're unique. And one of the reasons is because we value the arts. And there's a lot of different components of the arts, but the visual arts is a big part of it. And Ann has a script for me to follow, and but I don't follow scripts because I speak from my heart most of the time. People that write scripts for me, normally they're at the places where I speak, and I can see them halfway into it, and they're like, oh no, I'm not following the script. But I'm going to tell you all the important things that was handed to me. I will tell you that this is the 17th sculpture that has been given to the city of Brevard. And I like to add this history to it as well because I think it speaks highly of the arts community. I've been mayor for 11 years, which is 9 years longer than I thought I would be. I hadn't been mayor very long whenever Ann DeGuerra and Tom Cade came before City Council and said, we've got an idea that we think will put Brevard and Transylvania County on the map. We believe we have contacts with enough sculptors and donors and people that have an appreciation for the arts that we would like to put art sculptures throughout the city. And these are going to be expensive sculptures. They're going to be high quality sculptures. They're going to be sculptures that people are going to want to see and people are going to want to take pictures of. And I got to be honest with you, at the time, I did not have an appreciation for the arts like I do now. And I sat there trying to look stoic like mayors try to look sometime. We try hard, don't we, Larry? But I was sitting there looking stoic, and I could only imagine in my mind, she's going to go out, she's going to get the energy, they're going to do one sculpture, and they're going to have this one sculpture placed, and it'll lose energy, and we won't hear from them again. I don't even think it was 18 months. Ann comes back and says, well, we've got like 12 of them paid for. We're ready to go. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. And she says, I'm serious, Jimmy. And I have been, the happiest times have been when I go to these sculptures. There's one just on the other side of this fence over here. And go to these sculptures and show its art. Matter of fact, one of our very first sculptures is Aaron Alderman that did the elk. And back in February, January and February, he spent his time in Romania.
He's my nephew.
He's his nephew. Spent at a sister city called Pietroisa that I spent time with last June. And that was a gift to them to go and place this sculpture. So this sculpture project has been birthed in the minds of many, many people. And you've shared that vision. You know, I tell City Council all the time, we've got to have a 20-year dream, a 10-year vision, and a 5-year plan. Ann has known that for a long time, and many of her friends that are here today, you've known that. And this has happened now. This is the 17th one, and this makes an impact. Impact, what a strong word. This is an impact, and it's made Brevard distinct. It's given it, people come here and they visit and they see this and they say, you know what, you guys, somehow you've got it going on. This is strong. This makes a strong statement for who we are and what we appreciate. I've only gotten into the first sentence of the script.
Let me get in the shade.
So this Brevard Sculpture Project, it began in 2003. This sculpture behind me is entitled Flight School by artist Lincoln Stone and is sponsored by Lee Tuttle and her family in memory of Joe Tuttle. I knew Joe Tuttle. Joe Tuttle was a gentleman that began and mentored the vision program that we have here in Brevard, Transylvania County, that takes interested citizens and they go through I want to say it's a 10-month course, and it teaches leadership and it teaches responsibility. It gives you understanding about who we are and the history and where we want to go. And what it does for you is it takes people, interested adults, and it puts them in this visioning class so that they can come back and they can volunteer for organizations, whether it's the Arts Council, whether it's the Run for City Council, whether it's to be a volunteer at Silvermont or you name it, it prepares them and makes them well qualified. Joe and Lee moved here in 1996. When he retired, became very active in this community, and I just told you how. Many may remember his work with the Vision program, which he headed for 9 years. He was also on the Sheriff's Advisory Committee, among other things. This is important, listen to this. All who knew him and worked with him became part of his journey. That was Joe Tuttle. This unique sculpture by Lincoln Stone is made of mirrored, polished stainless steel, and it is the largest wind sculpture in the entire region. We are proud to have this Georgia artist, Lincoln Stone, with us today. His work is in many places throughout the South. His work is at the Smithsonian Postal Museum, the National Portrait Gallery, the Museum of National History, the Georgia Holocaust Museum, the Houston Children's Museum, and in many galleries and museums. I'll tell you something else. This is on the library property. There are 18 different library properties in the state of Georgia where his sculpture work stands. The reason I wanted Mr. Chapman to be with us today is because this is county property, and he is going to be speaking on behalf of the county commissioners that voted to proudly accept that this sculpture stand on their property. Before I introduce and before I let you speak, I do want you to know that Mr. Stone was educated at Florida Atlantic University and Miami-Dade Junior College. Now, if you think it's hot here today, you'll go to Miami-Dade. You're a student there and an assistant of a well-known sculptor, Dwayne Hanson. Before I introduce the Tuttles and the artist Lincoln Stone, why don't you speak on behalf of the county?
Thank you, Jim. First of all, here's a politician 11 years. I'm a politician in 5 months, so I don't have a whole lot. But I've only been on the board for a couple months when they came before us there talking about the sculpture and the location of it. Well, you can imagine with the county, first questions come up. Well, how high is it going to be? Is any kids going to run into it? You know, and the questions kept being asked, you know, the safety of it and all that. But in the end, it was a full support of the board. We work with the county on these projects. We're proud to have it here on county property, and hopefully we can expand to other areas here. As Jim mentioned, my nephew Aaron Alderman is heavily involved in the sculpture program. He also has one that's on the wall beside the co-ed theater there, the butterflies there. He did that one. So I appreciate all of you coming. On behalf of the county commissioners, it's an honor to have this on our property. Hopefully we can expand to more. And Jim, I appreciate what the city's doing. And we work good together, and that's what it takes in this community. Bring the community together, bring the arts together, bring the people together in areas that we can support. So thank all of you for coming, and on behalf of the county, Mr. Stone, we thank you for this gift.
Mr. Stone, why don't you come stand between us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the sculpture, Lincoln Stone. Thank you. You know, what a beautiful piece of artwork. And it's easy to see why his artwork is in many, many places. But I got to tell you something. If it were not for the heart and the vision of people sponsoring sculptures and believing in sculptures, the work that it's standing here, what it means to others as they walk by, if it were not for people like the Tuttles that have an interest and a heart and understanding, I'm afraid some art just wouldn't happen, and that'd be a shame. But the Tuttles are here. This is in honor of Joe Tuttle, and I'm just proud that they got a vision, and that's what we've got here in Brevard, Transylvania County. We've got people with vision. That's what makes us not average, but above average. I say that all the time. People look at me kind of crazy. We're not average, we're above average. I know it, you know it, and you got to live here to understand it. I tell that to my mayor friends in other communities, and they're like, how can you say that? I just said it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to meet those that sponsor this. Mike, Lee, Tuttle, come stand with us. Lee, Lincoln, why don't you speak, and then
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh, no problem. I and my wife, Mary Jane, spent all day yesterday driving around. This is a beautiful town, and all the little cottages and the state park. And then all through the town now, I was never here before when I first came a few months ago, there's art. These beautiful focal points of art, which is so unusual in any town in the United States, and it creates these wonderful focal points. And I think Andy Guerra really deserves applause.
Yes, he does.
We met socially through our good friend Jim Ostel down in Catatoga down there, and Ann and I have a similar background in art and our education, both professional artists. And when this came up and mentioned it to you, and boy, I jumped right on it as I saw the town and how important art is here, and got lucky and won the commission, and I'm very, very proud of it. This stainless steel, I've done a couple of other projects in this material. One of them is a stainless steel globe at Southern Polytechnical University made out of the same material, but it's not mirror polished. And this material is now readily available, and it's amazing. I mean, that is steel, and that metal, a little bit of luck, except for maybe a tornado. I mean, that metal's going to look like that for 1,000 years. It doesn't corrode, it doesn't rust, it's relatively inexpensive. So I was saying to this gentleman here, to Larry a few minutes ago, that there is this moment. It's a completely original piece. And at the shop, I have a very short version of this pole, which is only this high, so that I can put that hub on it to experiment with it. So there is this moment up in there. There's a stainless steel beam. It's the most expensive part of the whole thing. You can't see it, but it's the structure. So this moment where we took the thing with the hub on it, and we set it on top of this little one, this high, and I clamped one fish on it and walked away, and there was practically no breeze like today, and it moved. That was a great moment for me. Because up until that moment, there was no way to know if it was even going to move. So, and there are a number of nice coincidences like that that were wonderful. I also wanted to mention the architect.
Doug Harris.
Doug was wonderful and very helpful throughout this entire project. And he was concerned about the height of it, and many of the questions that the mayor mentioned, and was enormously helpful on the whole thing, and sort of guided us through the whole thing. It was here the day of installation, so it's a great honor for me. It's great to be part of this community where you have great art, and continued luck in this wonderful town. Thank you.
I'll say in behalf of my son, who's from Atlanta, and my daughter could not make it at the last minute, so she would like to be here, Nancy. I just want to thank you all for coming, and everybody that helped in the sculpture, and Lincoln for coming up with a beautiful design that Ann is the spearhead. She spearheaded this. I am not much of an artist. I kind of know what I like, but she's the one that guided me through all this and really did all the work. So it's amazing how much she has done for this sculpture project. And I just want to thank you all for coming. That's all I have.
I want to thank all of you for coming out today. Like I told you, this is an important day. This is a special day. And this is special. And we're going to have this from now on. Lincoln, thank you. Lee and Mike, thank you. This is family legacy. Colonel Chapman, Commissioner, thank the board. On behalf of the residents of the city of Brevard, we thank you because this is a beautiful piece. And I'll tell all of you here today that I know you enjoy this and enjoy art. Do not stop believing in art. Support it, embrace it, but we've got many good things going here. Thanks for coming out. God bless all of you. Thank you.